Peter King at Niners Training Camp, Santa Clara, California, Levi's Stadium. I'm here with Brock Purdy, the starting quarterback of the Niners. And Brock, I want to ask you, let's go back to the NFC Championship game. When you get hurt, you hurt your elbow. At the moment that you hurt your elbow, did you know that it was very serious? Or because you kept trying to play, did you think that it wasn't as bad as it turned out to be?
Yeah, I think I knew right away. You know, there was like electricity, fire, all that kind of stuff was like shooting down my arm. Felt like it was all numb.
It was something that you never had felt before.
100%, yeah. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you know, what do I do? I couldn't really believe it at first. It was more like, hey, yeah, it's killing, it's aching, but I got to play through this somehow, some way. And then when I went to, you know, go and throw, I was like, yeah, I physically can't, you know, make a 10-yard throw on the sideline. And so that's when I was like, yeah, this is something that I've never been through before, and I'm pretty sure something has been torn or somewhere I couldn't play. So
it's the biggest game of your life. What's going through your mind at that moment?
Yeah, sort of like what I said, I just couldn't believe it, and I was more, you know, sad for the guys, you know, that had helped get us there. You know, the guys obviously on offense, on defense, the guys that have been there forever. They've been through the 2019 Super Bowl loss. So I'm thinking about those guys. It's like, man, I'm trying to play for them, and then all of a sudden this happens. So that's when I went to Kyle and I was like, hey, you have to put in Josh because I can't throw. You know, I'm not tapping out or anything like that.
What did he say?
He's like, why? Like, you can't throw? And I was like, I can't. Literally, like, something's wrong with my arm. And so we're on the sideline taping my arm up in all these, you know, different angles and directions, hoping that it would help, and it didn't. So it was a sucky situation.
I want to ask you about all of that 2-month period in your life. I was here for the game against Miami where you went in, and I remember asking you after the game that, hey, by the way, you are going to start your first game in the NFL next week, and it's against Tom Brady. And I remember thinking at the time, not necessarily you're totally taking it in stride. You look very happy about it and looking forward to the opportunity. But why wasn't what happened to you last year too big for you?
Yeah, I think, honestly, my faith. I feel like I was really rooted in my faith. I had a great, you know, family around me, and you know, from day one being here, the organization, the coaches, the players, it's just a very, you know, high-class organization. Everything's well run from the top down, and so for me, all I had to do was just play quarterback, do my job, do what Coach Shanahan has coached. I have 4 years of, you know, experience in college as a starter, so I've seen a lot of defenses and stuff. And so when I got into the situation, I was like, you know what, you know, it's football. At the end of the day, it's football. I'm going to keep it simple. I got awesome teammates around me. All I got to do is distribute it to the right guys at the right time, let the defense play ball, and win.
One question about after you got hurt. You choose a surgeon who's done a lot of baseball players with the Texas Rangers, and you go down to see him maybe a month, 3 weeks after you get injured, and he tells you that we're not ready to do this yet. And I imagine that you're feeling like, man, I got to get this done. I got to start throwing again. Do you remember what you were thinking that day when the surgeon tells you can't get it done, and then just the wait to actually have the surgery?
Yeah. My dad and I were just so – it's not that we were, like, mad, but we were just upset. Like, man, we wanted to get this done and get rolling, and we're thinking about, you know, next season, obviously.
You went down to see him in Texas?
Yes, yeah. And so once we found out right then and there in Texas, you know, Doc was like, hey, it's too inflamed. Like, we got to do more rehab, get this inflammation to calm down, and then have surgery. So once my dad and I were told no, like, I remember just being so upset in the moment. Like, man, we're never going to be able to get this done. I'm not going to be back on time, all that stuff. My dad was like, you know what? You know, we're faithful people. It's all God's timing. He goes, we just got to have patience here. It's for the right thing. It's for your arm to calm down, and we got to do the surgery right for your career. And so, yeah, that's where we were at. We definitely remember that exact moment, how frustrated we were, but looking back on it, it was the right move. It was a great call by Dr. Meister, and, you know, here we are throwing again and feeling good.
As I watched this practice, your first practice, where you practice for a third day in a row and threw for a third day in a row, you looked, to me, and again, look, I don't watch a lot of your practices, you looked absolutely normal. You made one throw to the left pylon to Deebo Samuel that he dove for, that it was a perfect throw, thrown with a lot of velocity. Tell me how your arm feels now, and is it any different at all from before the surgery?
Yeah, it feels great, honestly. This was the first time we had a 3-day block where I've thrown 3 days in a row, and to be able to go out at practice and still make all the throws and with velocity on time, it gave me a lot of confidence, and I'm really comfortable with where I'm at. And so we've had a great plan this whole time. All the doctors and physical therapists that I'm working with, everyone has aligned everything right to be in this moment, ready to go, going into obviously the second preseason game and then game one. And so I feel good. That's where I'm at, and I'm confident to be ready to roll for this year.
So little doubt in your mind you'll be ready to go opening day.
Correct. Yes, sir.
The last thing I wanted to ask you is, tell me what you see in yourself for year two. Now that you have been told you're the starter on this team, what do you think of having a full season, an off season of preparedness, and then playing theoretically for a full year? How do you feel about that? What do you think you're going to be able to show this year?
Yeah, I feel like just being able to take the next step in situational football. Obviously I showed that I can go in and manage the offense and, put a drive together, put up points on the board, win games. And so for myself, it's like, how can I be the best in certain situations of football? Going back to last year, watching some moments where it's like, hey, man, you got to clean this up. You got to be smart and get the ball to the right guys on time, check the ball down, throw the ball away, and grow, I feel like, in those kind of areas. And so I feel like that's the next step for me. But at the same time, it's like, man, how can we win games, do it consistently, and push, this offense and team to be, the best versions of ourselves. And if we can do that, the sky's the limit.
Brock Purdy, good luck. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.